Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, chiri biri biri bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Purim Sameach, 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, chiri biri biri bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. One more time. Purim Sameach, 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 Purim Sameach. Hag Sameach, everybody. Hey, it's Purim. Pretty amazing, and everything is just a little off, just a little different when we come to Purim. We enter the month of Adar with joy. It is actually a commandment to be joyful in the month of Adar, and we're like, that's the month right now, and we're right in the middle of it. And then we come to the feast of Purim, where everything is just a little off from what's expected. Anything can change in an instant. And then our job is to take the joy and focus it on being merry and having a really good time with Purim. So we'll hope to hit all those bases tonight. It's so good to see everybody here in the sanctuary at 5200 Old Mill Road, and those of you who are at home in different states all over the place and in Indiana. We are one Purim happy community tonight. So we will do a brief evening service because, you know, it's a holiday and we're Jews and here I am. So, and we're all together. So we'll have a brief service, and then we will have our Purim spiel, and our reading of the Megillah will be woven into the Purim spiel. So we're gonna get to pray. We're gonna get to experience or meet the mitzvah, the commandment of hearing from the book of Esther, and we're gonna get to have a really good time with the CAV Purim players. And then after that, I think there's some hamantash. So glad you're all here. I'm going to begin with a meditation for Purim that is written by Alden Solovey. Let joy. Let joy spread across your face, flash from your eyes, beam from your lips. Let joy quiet your heart, soothe your lungs, relieve your chest. Let joy flow through your bones, awaken your nerves, caress your flesh. Let joy, for joy is in the dawn and the dusk, the silence and the great expanse, the flow of light from God's grace, divine wonder and awe, calling out to you, dear sisters and brothers. Awake, you slumberers, awake, you who sleepwalk through hours and days, blind to hope and love. Have you forgotten Sarah's laugh and Miriam's song? Have you forsaken Jacob's dreams and Ezekiel's visions? Have you succumbed to fear and shame? This, then, is God's command. Let joy hold you, carry you, burst forth from your words and deeds. Let joy take you from season to season. Dance and sing, celebrate and rejoice, lifting your life with exultation. Let joy be your light and your lamp. Blessed are you, God of joy. We will turn to page 4, the pages we don't see so often in our Siddur, page 4, and we will begin with the call to worship, Baruch Hu. Please rise as you are able. Please be seated. Let's turn together to page 7. We're already there, on the other side of the page. And let us read together the blessing for the arrival of this Purim evening. We'll read together at the bottom of page 7. Ever-living God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of the earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to the power of your wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish from our sight. But your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from our lives. Help us to become co-workers with you and fill our days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. We turn to page 8. And actually, we'll be on page 9. Let us read together the blessing for the covenant between God and Israel. All goodness and truth are yours, O God. May no evil estrange us from you. Let error not confound us. Help us understand your will. In adversity and prosperity, may your law be our light. May our deeds reflect your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Israel. Please rise as you are able, and we will recite Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. We continue on the next page. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzvavecha hayom alevavevcha Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leod ayadecha v'hayu letotafot beinecha uchtavtam amuzuzot beitecha uhisharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzetiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn now to page 19. And we recite the blessing for God's protection. Let's read together at the bottom of page 19. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, longing evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, shomer amo Israel la'ad. Let us turn now to page 20. And please rise as you are able for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitida v'yitida shmei rava Yemali vracherte v'yamlit mafute V'chayechon yom yechon U'chayechon beit Yisrael Bagal v'yikarak v'yishtabach v'yikar v'yitorah v'yikaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemel kudeshah le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushmekata v'nechemata daviran ve'alma v'imeru. Amen. You may be seated. In a moment, we will join together in the Amidah, the standing prayer, which is our the central part of our liturgy. And tonight we will begin singing together, and then we will pray silently together the words of the Amidah. What I'd like to invite you to do at this moment, before we begin to pray together, is to take a moment in silence and find something goofy, something unexpected, something totally surprising that worked out really well for you. I know that's kind of a challenge, but it's Purim, all right? And Purim is about the unexpected, and it's about heroism. So think for a moment about something in your life that was a surprise to you and that worked out beautifully. All right, we will continue on page 74, and we will pray together aloud on page 74, and then we'll continue praying silently through page 80. So we'll begin on 74, and we'll continue praying silently through page 80. Please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Taki boy. Ataka. I hope you found something unexpected. Let us turn now to page 573. Page 573. And because this is Purim, and because we will be fulfilling the mitzvah of being read to before from the scroll of Esther, Megillat Esther, we have some blessings that we need to say to mark this moment. So let us read together on page 309, and we'll pray together. We'll pray together in the Hebrew beginning at the top of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to read the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'anu nisim lavotenu v'imotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, who performs wondrous deeds for our ancestors in days of old and at this season. And we say this one in Hanukkah too, right? And the last blessing, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu. No, let's start that again. We know this one. All right, let's have a good, rousing Shehechianu. This will be the first time we've experienced Purim in 5783, and the first time that we've seen this cast of the Purim players to hear the Megillah. Let's go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh. Chag Sameach. And in just a moment, we will have, joining us, will be the temple Purim players who will be sharing for us the Megillah Purim Spiel. That means Purim play. It is called Choose Your Own Megillah. And now, Chevre, I would like to announce and to call to the bima the temple Purim players. We didn't practice this. The temple Purim players. Isn't this like the sound of music? All right.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
Er Tov. Okay. It happened in the days of Ahasuerus that Ahasuerus, who reigned over 127 provinces from India to Nubia. In those days, when King Ahasuerus occupied the royal throne in the fortress of Shushan, in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all of the officials and courtiers, the administration of Persia and Media, the nobles and the governors of the provinces in his service.
Welcome and Chag Purim Sameach to you all. Tonight we have a sacred duty to fulfill, a semi-serious story to state, and a torturous tale of treachery and tradition to tell. And we will need your help to make this happen. At predetermined points in the story, the action will stop, and you will determine the course of the scene. Each option is distinct in its dialogue, specific in its statements, and particular in its points.
Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you one of the protagonists of our play, Mordechai.
Shalom lekulam. You're going to let them choose which way the story is going to go? They get to choose from a few options how each scene is going to end?
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. The story is written in the Bible. You can't just change the ending. What if they decide Haman gets to win? Or if the king decides to marry someone other than Esther? It'd be mayhem, not to mention the whole point of coming here is to hear the tale as it was written 2,000 years ago.
All right, you make a fair point, but don't worry. No decisions they make will change the course of our tale. Still, the Bible leaves much of the story open to our interpretation. Why does the king choose Esther? And how does Esther feel about being chosen? These are important questions if we're going to understand the Megillah. And that's what our guests this evening will determine.
I'm not sure I get it, but okay. Let's see how this goes.
All right. You get back to your place and I'll show you what I mean. Once upon a time, there was a king named Ahasuerus. Ahasuerus ruled a kingdom that stretched from India to Ethiopia and was rich beyond your wildest dreams. Rich as Rockefeller, rich as Roosevelt. All right, maybe that's too old school. He was like Mark Zuckerberg rich, but less Jewish.
Like they say, that's good to be me. Anyway, I was throwing this party.
It was 6 months long.
It was a really good party. We were basically celebrating how great it is just to be me. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty good to be me. Anyway, we got to the end of the 6 months, and I felt like the palace staff had done a great job with this whole half-year party thing. So I decided to whip up another week of celebrations just for the people in my palace. At that time, Queen Vashti, well, that's my wife over there. Give a wave there. Anyway, Queen Vashti threw a party for her ladies in waiting. So we have this extra week to party, and I decide it's time to go out like crazy moments of drinking. I'll be honest, I was totally far drunk. We finally get literally to the last day, and I think to myself, you know what? I haven't seen Vashti in forever. And I've got this idea, and I'm like, well, let's bring her over to the party.
All right, hold on a moment, King. Here's where we show everyone how this works. You see, the king is about to order Vashti to join his party. How do you think Ahasuerus felt in this moment? Remember, the option you choose determines the end of this scene. Option A, King Ahasuerus thought his wife was practically one of his employees and should entertain him and his friends. Or option B, King Ahasuerus didn't mean any harm by his request. It was a different time, and sometimes men back then expected obedience from their wives. All right, so all in favor of option A, raise your hands. Ooh, okay, this is a toughie. Option B, raise your hands. Woohoo! We proceed with option B. Get focused. Here we go. Go ahead.
Option B. Vashti, my dear, my love, my one and only, would you kindly join us over here for my party?
You know, my king, my husband, my darling Pookie Pie. I would love to, I really would. But I've waited 6 months and a week for you to remember I exist. I've been sitting around playing solitaire so long, I've practically forgotten what you look like.
I hear you, my cherie. I'm sure it's been a little tough just not being with me. And now, well, it's done, and we can hang out now.
A little tough? It's been 6 months. And then you decide to throw one last big blowout party this week, and only incidentally allow me to do the same for my friends. Now that I finally have something to do and someone to talk to other than my cat, now you need my attention?
Well, I hear you. That party theme got a little out of control. Once I declared 6 months of party, I just couldn't take it back. When the king speaks, that's the law.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're so powerful that you rule nearly the entire world, but you can't take back your own command.
Get over yourself. Like you and your friends mean so much more to you than me.
Your friends were more important than me for 6 months.
Well, I'm the king.
So because you're a man, you're better than me.
Well, that's not what I'm just saying. You're just getting so emotional over nothing.
Emotional? There isn't a snowball's chance in the Sahara I'm coming over now.
Don't you dare ignore me.
Yeah? What are you gonna do about it?
Enough of your back talk. Get out of this palace. You're through as my queen.
My, oh my, oh my. How to write this story. Let me see. Sometime afterward, when the anger of King Ahasuerus subsided, he thought of Vashti and what she had done and what had been decreed against her. The king's servants who attended him said, "Let the beautiful young virgins be sought out for your majesty. Let your majesty appoint officers in every province of your realm to assemble all the beautiful young virgins of the fortress Shushan in the harem under supervision of Hege, the king's eunuch, guardian of the women. Let them be provided with their cosmetics."
And so King Ahasuerus finds himself without a queen, desperately lonely, bereft over Vashti's absence, longing for a true partner.
Well, it was good for a while, but then it got boring. Vashti was a real pain in the tuchus. But she was an excellent bridge partner.
Oh, you're quite the romantic, Your Highness.
Well, anyway, I couldn't exactly invite her back. I mean, she deserved banishment. She straight up refused to follow my commands. I am the king. First, one person defies me, then it's chaos in the streets.
And so an edict was put out by the king's ministers ordering every eligible young maiden to come to Shushan to have a private interview with the king. The one who most pleased the king would become the new queen. Among the maidens was a young Jewish girl named Hadassah.
Actually, my name is Esther.
It says your name is Hadassah. No, wait, okay, it says Hadassah and Esther. That's weird. You have two names?
Don't you?
No.
Don't you have an English name and a Hebrew name? Two names reflecting your two heritages?
Okay, no, yeah, I guess I do.
But do me a favor. Let's not make a big point of the whole me being Jewish thing. Mordecai says I should keep that on the DL. Persia's a tolerant country and all. At least I grew up thinking that was the case. But I'm still not sure the country is ready for a Jewish woman running the place.
Gotcha. Anyway, Esther here is an orphan raised by her cousin Mordecai, and she goes to the palace with all the other young women, spending a full year preparing for her meeting with the king.
And not a book of crossword puzzles in sight. Man, was that a dull year.
And so the maidens assembled before the king. And finally the time comes for Esther to meet with King Ahasuerus. Let's take a vote. How does Esther feel about meeting the king? Option A, Esther hoped to become queen so she could help rule the kingdom. Option B, Esther was angry at being forced to come to the palace and audition to be queen. Option A, who's in favor of option A? Raise your hands. No one likes A tonight. What's up with that? It's okay. Option B is a good one. Who picks option B? Ooh, we're going to feel some anger. Let's do it.
Well, hello. Welcome to my palace. What's your name?
Esther.
Esther? Well, yeah, okay, wonderful. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Look, can we skip the small talk? This whole process is demeaning and ridiculous. We both know you're not looking for someone who can keep up a conversation.
Okay, fine. Here's the deal. It's been 4 years since I kicked Vashti out to the street. I guess everyone expects a king to have a queen, so here we are. And now I've been meeting woman after woman for what seems like years, looking for that certain someone. But it's been just one uggo after another, until I met you, until today.
You're a charmer. You really know how to sweet talk a girl.
Well, I'm the king. I don't need the sweet talk.
You're a pig.
Well, congratulations, because you're my queen.
And so the story continues. The king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she won his grace and favor more than all of the virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. The king gave a great banquet for all of his officials and courtiers, the banquet of Esther. He proclaimed a remission of taxes for the provinces and distributed gifts as befits a king. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai sat in the palace gate.
And so Esther became queen of all of Persia, but she still hid the fact that she was Jewish, as Mordecai had instructed her. Mordecai, for his part, eagerly sought news about her life in the palace. But since this all happened before Instagram, he was forced to hang out by the palace gates to even catch a glimpse of her.
Here I am, just hanging out. Excuse me, but you seem to know what's going on around here. Do you know how long I have to sit here before something happens?
Like 5 years?
5 years? Seriously, I might just go ahead and invent the newspaper so I have something to read.
5 years passes, and one day the king promotes one of his many advisors to the office of prime minister, placing him above all others in power and authority. The prime minister's name is Haman.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
They were definitely booing you.
Sounded sweet to my ears, and check this out, folks.
Woo!
What does this stand for?
The king even decreed that everyone had to bow down to Haman. Then he passed by.
Oh man, that was the best. To be fair, the king didn't really decree anything. I asked him if I could borrow some official kingdom letterhead, and then casually commented how shiny the signet ring was, and oh, can I take a look at that? And then, boom, signed decree saying everyone had to bow down to me. Oh man, is he a dummy.
One day, as Haman and his henchmen were leaving the palace, he happened to notice a man sitting outside the gates. When everyone else bowed to Haman, as the law required, this one man stayed seated and never even looked his way.
What a burn. Hey you, hey man, what's your deal?
My deal? What's your deal? Why are you so special that everyone has to bow?
I'm the second most important person in this kingdom. Literally, only the king is more powerful than me.
I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but vice president of more of a figurehead position. You're like the Dan Quayle of the Bible.
I'm not vice president. I'm prime minister.
Either way, I'm Jewish and we don't bow to anybody. It's like a thing. Now you'll have to excuse me. I've been sitting here for literally 5 years, and all this excitement has my back cramping like you wouldn't believe.
How dare he call me the Dan Quayle of the Bible? If anything, I'm the Dick Cheney of the Bible. Excuse me, Your Highness. Your Majesty.
Quiet! I'm doing very important things.
Is that Angry Birds?
Yes, it is, and it's very important. What do you want?
I'd like to use your royal authority to start a war. I'll secretly manage the war on your behalf, but leave you, the figurehead, responsible for its outcome.
Oh, you want to pull a Dick Cheney?
Yes, exactly. I just need your signet ring.
Whatever. Do I need to know more of the details?
Nope.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
And so Haman issued a decree with the king's authority that all the Jews in the entire Persian Empire should be destroyed, killed, and wiped out in the coming days. When Mordecai learned of the decree, he put on a sackcloth and rubbed ashes in his hair in the traditional sign of mourning. But because he was dressed so shabbily, he couldn't enter the court to talk with Esther about the decree. The queen's maidservant saw Mordecai outside the gate and told her that her foster father was out there waiting for her, wailing and singing sad songs. But Esther refused to come out to talk with him. Why do you think she wouldn't come out? Option A, Esther was following the rules. She tried to convince Mordecai to come talk to her, but he insisted on making a public spectacle of himself. She would have come out if she could. Or option B, after 5 years, Esther had gotten quite used to being king and hiding her heritage. She still cared about him, but wasn't ready to risk her royal stature to confront Haman. All right, all in favor of option A? All right, okay. And in favor of option B? Option A this time. Let's do it. And so Esther sent her servant to try and convince Mordecai to change his clothes so they could meet and figure out how to save the Jews.
Mordecai,
Shalom, Yedidi, hatak, hadak, hadak. Meet my friend Masriach. That's Hebrew for stinky.
Dude, you stink.
5 years I'm fasting and wailing on behalf of my people. This is what Jews do when we were in mourning.
No, I got that part, but you really smell bad. Have you bathed recently?
Is there a spa outside the gates of the palace?
No.
How come Esther didn't come out here herself?
She's got other responsibilities, but she asked me to bring you a change of clothes, just so you can change and come into the palace and talk with her.
This is my place. I'm trying to raise awareness of our plight. I won't change and I won't leave. Now go and tell my cousin that she has to do something to save us.
No. She's the queen and I'm a servant and I can't demand her to do anything.
Well then, give her this. This is the decree issued by the king and amen. That will be the death of all Jews.
Okie dokie.
And so Hatak took the decree to Esther, and the next day returned to Mordecai.
Shalom. Hatak, hatak, hatak. So is she going to help?
The queen has asked me to point out that she cannot just walk up to the king and demand change. In fact, there's a rule that states no one can approach the king without an invitation. If you do, you die.
Oh.
So she's begging you, please get dressed in some nicer clothes, come inside, and then you can help her figure out how to talk to the king.
She's the queen. If she can't convince the king to cancel the decree, how can I do it? What good can I do? You tell her if she thinks that no one in the palace will find out she's Jewish, she's fooling herself. She's just as much at risk as anybody else. This is her moment to shine. Go back to Queen Esther and tell her all I've said.
All right, I'm gonna sure get my 10,000 steps in today.
Oh my, How to write this part of the story. When Mordecai learned all that had happened, Mordecai tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes. He went through the city crying out loudly and bitterly until he came in front of the palace gate. For one could not enter the palace gate wearing sackcloth. Also, in every province that the king's command and decree reached, there was great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and everybody lay in sackcloth and ashes.
And Esther read the decree and heard all about the conversation that her servant had had with Mordecai. Overwhelmed by the responsibility on her shoulders, she nonetheless took to heart Mordecai's words and came up with a plan to save the Jews. But first, she had to get the king's attention.
Woohoo, honey. Yoo-hoo.
Nothing was working, so Esther dressed up in her finest clothes and stood in the doorway to the king's throne room until she caught his attention.
Oh, Esther, I couldn't see you there.
My king, I have a small, eensy-weensy request.
Oh, man. Now what?
My king, would you do me the honor of joining me tonight at a feast that I prepared in your honor?
Oh, a feast.
And I'd so appreciate it if Haman was here too.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be thrilled.
Then I'll see you both tonight.
Wow, what a fabulous feast. I'm absolutely stuffed.
Truly a phenomenal evening, my queen.
I do it all to honor my king.
I think this deserves a reward. What can I get you, Esther? Anything you want, even if it's half my kingdom. it shall be yours.
Your Majesty, the only thing I could possibly ask for is the privilege of your company again tomorrow night.
Oh, another feast?
This time, a wine banquet.
Oh, wow. It's like a banquet with wine.
And Haman, I would be honored.
Wine banquet, wine banquet. Oops. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Men.
This is some Megillah. So the king and Haman came to feast with Queen Esther. On the second day, the king again asked Esther at the wine fest, "What is your wish, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to half the kingdom? It shall be fulfilled." Queen Esther replied, "If your majesty will do me the favor, and if it pleases your majesty, let my life be granted me as my wish, and my people as my request."
And so the queen prepared a second banquet to honor the king.
More wine?
Oh, more what? Yeah, what a great idea. I'm feeling generous today. Oh, I have an idea. Let me get a tattoo of your likeness on my forehead.
Well, that's quite generous of you. I have only one request for you.
Well, name it. Anything you want, even if it's up to half my kingdom. It's gonna be yours.
All I want is for you to save my life.
Didn't I already kind of do that when I married you?
My king, someone has threatened my people with destruction.
Who would do such a thing?
I didn't do anything.
You have threatened my people with destruction. Oh, king, save us.
I will. Quick question, though. Who are your people?
I'm Jewish.
Did I know that?
Does it matter?
Well, yeah. Well, let me think about it. I'll be back in a minute.
You need a minute?
I'll be right back.
So the king stepped into the garden to gather his admittedly callow and selfish thoughts, and Haman, in his terror, went to Queen Esther to plead for mercy. What does Haman say? To try and convince Queen Esther to spare his life. Option A, whoops. Option B, I meant to do it, but now I realize the error of my ways. Who thinks option A? A couple people, whoops. Who thinks option B? Ooh, it's a close one, but I'm saying option B. I meant to do it, but I realized the error of my ways. Option B.
Option B. Haman, what do you have to say for yourself?
My queen, please spare my life.
Why should I?
Because I have seen the error of my ways. I now see that destroying an entire people because one guy was kind of rude to me is not the solution. Even though Mordecai broke the law, and it is the law that everyone has to bow to me, so it's not like I was doing anything really wrong, and he definitely broke the law, and you're not supposed to do that. I mean, everybody knows that. Anyway, despite that, I should never have targeted all the Jews as revenge for being publicly humiliated by Mordecai. I mean, that is what it felt like when he refused to even acknowledge that I, you know, the number 2 guy in the whole kingdom, was walking right in front of him. And we all agree that my seeking revenge was bad, very bad. So, you know, maybe you shouldn't seek revenge on me and should instead spare my life. Just say.
Haman, you have earned your punishment. Guards, take him away.
Good riddance.
All right, well, how to end this miraculous story? That very day, King Ahasuerus gave the property of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Queen Esther. Mordecai presented himself to the king, for Esther had revealed how he was related to her. The king slipped off his ring, which he had taken back from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther put Mordecai in charge of Haman's property. Esther spoke to the king again, falling at his feet and weeping and beseeching him to avert the evil plotted by Haman, the Agagite, against the Jews.
And with Haman defeated, Esther was given all of Haman's possessions and all his wealth.
Cool.
And Mordecai was named prime minister, second only to the king in power and authority.
Sweet.
And from that day forward, the Jews had light and joy, gladness and honor, and a day of celebration was declared for all time, that on that very day that Haman had planned to slaughter the Jews, they had feasting instead of famine, parties instead of plotting, merriment instead of murder, and the holiday of Purim was created.
Is that it?
No, yeah, we're done. That's the whole story.
So what are we supposed to do now?
Right. No, good point. Let's ask the audience, how should we end the spiel? Option A, the Purim players take a bow. Option B, we race to the Hamantashen. Or option C, it's a dance party for everyone.
B.
Option A. Good. Option B. Ooh, some Hamantashen people. Option C. All right. I appreciate your gratitude. We are going to take a bow as the Purim players. Thank you.
Hevray, I give you the CAB Temple Players. Tonight playing the narrator is Lise Hoffman. And stinking to high heaven as Mordecai was John Cousineau. And the Angry Birds aficionado King Ahasuerus was Don Zellman. And Vashti, who was also very, very capable in playing a guard, was played by Ruthie Rubin, and Esther was played by none other than Lila Spath. And winning the Fort-winning Tony for acting against type as Haman. And Hatak, who wins the Hair and Beard Award, was played by Denny Reynolds. And our two McGillow readers, the writers Doris Gottlieb and Marsha Reynolds. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Hag Purim Sameach, and please stick around for some Hamantashen.
Thank you guys. It was so awesome.